The word says that we are not to forsake the assembly of ourselves. So our question today is, how is your church having service? Online or in person? Leave us a comment in the comment section below and let us know, how are you having service?
Welcome to Empowering Your Thoughts, an outreach ministry of Christ International Church. On this program, we deal with mental health issues and how they intersect with our faith. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share this program with a friend. And your hosts for today's show and mental health advocates, Tabitha Perez, Valerie Taylor, and Nicole McKenzie.
Hi, I'm Nicole, and welcome to this week's episode of Empowering Your Thoughts.
Hi, and I'm Valerie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tabitha. As you've heard a little bit of, today we are dealing with the topic of meeting in person during this COVID-19 crisis. Now, we're on the 4th week cycle of our episodes, which means this is a Q&A episode, and an amazing, really good question came up regarding meeting in person versus meeting virtually. And the question goes as this: is meeting virtually or in person, as it pertains to church, is that a matter of faith versus fear? And so today we thought that was a really, really important topic because it deals with not only a Christian basis of ideas, but it also deals with, it takes into account some of the, emotional things that we may go through. And that's exactly where we want to be always, at the intersection of faith. Please forgive me, at the intersection of mental health and our Christian walk. So I think it's going to be a really important topic for us. So once again, we're going to ask that question. If you have any questions or any input, go ahead and put it in the comment section below. Share this video if you think this topic will be important for anyone you know. And then let's get a real conversation going. We really want to see you with that love button over to your right. We want to see you commenting. We want to see you sharing this information so that other people than you that can get this information. All right. So here's the question again: is meeting in person versus meeting online a matter of faith versus fear as it pertains to this COVID-19 crisis? Ladies, take it.
So this conversation today is near and dear to my heart. I was recently having talking with someone who was having a difficult time with the leadership choosing to still hold services in place. And as we were talking and we were sharing and, just going back and forth with the scriptures, I thought that it would be a great thing for us to just to tease out here.
For sure.
Personally, I'm more in favor of being more safe than sorry. Yes, I understand that there's plenty of scriptures that actually can support either side, that, we are using to support it as being, it's a move of faith, and I don't think, me personally, again, my opinion, I don't think that choosing not to have church is a matter of fear. For me personally, I am very blessed and I'm able to work from home, which is at this point one of the safest places that we can be.
Right.
You know who's coming in and out. You can control the sanitation.
Precisely.
Of surfaces, of hands, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am limiting my going out to absolute essentials. I need to eat during this time, and I do need some sort of exercise. So those are the only two places that I am primarily going at this time.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to, I just really think we're in a really divided time in our country right now, and both sides see it as in everything kind of right now as a moot point. You're not Christian if you don't. You don't love if you don't. You do love too much, or and we seek to kind of make general statements. I'll say this. Moment of transparency. When my own church decided to go completely online, I was a little bit like, wait a minute, hold up, hold up. What are we doing? We're making decisions quickly. Wait, what? Now, I'm not in a position to make the decisions for the church at all, but it was just like a, whoa, hold up, wait. Because I've been in church my entire life. I've never had an Easter service out of church. I've never had more than 2 weeks in a row out of a Sunday service, let alone out of a Sunday and midweek service on a, I think, 6-week time frame now, or 5-week at least. So I think it was a shock to my system a little bit to come out of the assembly of the saints and to be along with those who we get into the habit of seeing, some more than we see our own family. And so for me, it was a little bit of a shock. So I can take the devil's advocate a little bit and say, not saying that people who are still meeting in church are the devil. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I can take the contrary side a little bit and say,
let's be 100% clear on that
exactly.
one.
I mean, this is my personal opinion. I can take the contrary point to say that I don't want to necessarily demonize anyone who's still meeting in church, while I am on the side who agrees with meeting online because of safety, period. Because of safety, just as Nicole was saying, I'm at home probably about 98% of the week. 98% of the week, with the exception of going to the grocery store at my home or about a mile away from my home, with the exception of going to the grocery store and doing my walk. That's all I do. I'm not going anywhere else. So I think that's really important that we do see the other side, though, because I can understand people who are still meeting in person if they're in the habit of having been in the habit of going to church, seeing in this, dare I say it, this social habit. How we've all been socialized to do this. They've become in this social habit and kind of where we're dependent on the community, which it is the way that we're formed to be. We're supposed to be this way. But I think sometimes we just have to take a step back and see, is my decision for the greater good of the community? Yes, the Bible tells us to be in community. Yes, the Bible did the first miracle at the wedding. Yes, the entire context of most of the Bible is community based. Agreed, completely agreed. But we just have to take a step back. Is this for the betterment? Is this for the safety? Is this for the well-being? Is my decision showing love to those who are around me? I think that's really, really going to be where truly that I know our church had to make that decision because of that. It's out of the abundance of love that you choose to be away from those who you really want to be with, because you want to keep them safe.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned, Tabitha, your response to the church choosing to do online service. I remember that before the official call was made, I had actually spoken to our bishop, and I had just mentioned to him, hey, listen, I just don't think I'm going to be making it to church in the next few weeks, because in my family, we are high risk. And so the potential of that was scary for me in a sense.
Absolutely, for sure.
So when the announcement came through that they were switching primarily to online services, I was so relieved, because I said, I get to still engage with them in a different way, online. And so for me, it was I just felt more at peace being able to be home, be safe with my family, and not having my family put at risk, but also not putting anyone else at risk as well. And so I think in a way, when we say that, we are to assemble together, and join in fellowship, it doesn't necessarily mean just in a building.
It can be,
and
that's what we're seeing.
I think that there's so many creative things that we can do amongst the church if we just broke out of the routine of what we know, and give everyone the opportunity to be able to engage in a different way. So I really love being able to see people who have done online services, praise concerts, Bible studies,
Right. Absolutely.
just coming up with different ways to engage. Maybe people they would have never engaged if they just,
Right.
continued
Been
the
in the
same
building.
routine in the building.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt relieved and I felt thankful, in a sense, and I was appreciative of my leaders for making that decision.
And it's not an easy call to make.
No.
Not
There's
at
so much at
all.
stake. So, and it's not to say that people who are still choosing to meet, I think that there's no easy way around it.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I think that there's no easy decision whether to allow the physical church to remain open or to switch to a different way of connecting.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just a difficult time to be a leader of anything right now. To be a leader of a family, to be a leader of a company, to be a leader of a church, to be a leader of, the dollar store. It's a really difficult time right now to be a leader of anything. And I really empathize with the pastors and the leaders who are all having to make these really hard decisions, knowing that you'll probably split your church down the center with your decision. 50% are going to agree, 50% aren't going to agree with whatever your decision. Same for presidency, same for, all the leadership, wherever you are with your company. Half of your customer base is going to be not happy about what you're doing. The other half is going to be grateful. So I think it's really hard right now and difficult to be a leader during these times. But I really think a lot of the fear, if we want to really talk about fear, a lot of the fear is really coming from the place of, will they show up after we've made this easy for them to stay home?
Right.
Will they tithe when no one's looking at them walking up to the front? So I think, will they be faithful to attend the services when no one is there to clock their attendance? Essentially what a lot of kind of churches kind of do. If you're serving, you kind of got to go to church in order to remain serving. So will the people still show up? Will they still remain faithful? If we take the barrier of being here, if we take the barrier of being seen, if we take the barrier of attendance essentially away, will they come back?
And I think that you hit upon, a good point as far as accountability. And, we as Christians, we're still one body. And I think that it is amazing that we live in a 2020 where we can still maintain connection. For me personally, living, from being from Cleveland and now living in Orlando. Yeah, I had to shameless plug, yes. Go Cavs, although they would not be in the playoffs. But anywho, I am so grateful for technology, because although I am 1,000 miles away from everyone that I have loved and loved me the longest, I still have really good connections. I have great nieces actually, who are in love with me. And one of them was born on my 1 year Florida anniversary. Wow. So to be able to maintain a connection, and she has her own Google Duo account, and she drew me a picture just last week. Hey, Auntie, I miss you. And she held it up, and she had drawn me this picture. We have a very tight connection that is not predicated on physical presence. It's about commitment. And this may be the looking inside of the mirror for the church. Okay, so why am I really doing this? Why am I really showing up week after week? And this can be a great opportunity for us, the body, to just allow God to just deal with us individually, so that when we come back collectively, we can come back stronger, we can come back more whole, more healed. I think that there's great opportunity in this situation.
I think everyone's in a little bit of a stick in the road moment. All leaders, just in people in general. Who am I, or how am I going to be when I come out of this?
Right.
And I really think the world's not going to look like what it looked like before.
And that may not be a bad thing.
It may not be a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. It may not be a bad thing. I'm not, because
I think that there are certain things that allow this to happen. And I think that this virus on so many different levels when you talk about health inequality and the disparities that are within
For
our health,
sure.
and
For
the
sure.
wage differences, and just this has shown shown a mirror to America in
For
so many
sure.
different ways. So we can come out of this looking different, and that may not be a bad thing at all.
Right.
You know, I look at this too as in a different way, I guess you can see it. Also in a sense of rest, right? So many of us were just running around,
Absolutely.
doing as much as we could,
Mm-hmm.
barely resting, taking out
Same.
time for our families.
You'll see.
And me too. This allows this slowdown. It really does. It allows us to really reflect on what's important, and also, you know, to be able to really grow our relationship with Christ.
Absolutely.
You know, I find myself even more so, and maybe it's because I'm not going to, you know, service in a building, but I look forward to having so much time to pray or fast or be able to just engage in praise and worship with God, you know. And then I look forward to Bible study, and then I look forward to, you know, having our Sunday services, and it's beautiful to be able to have that time in which we wouldn't have had. You know, it allows more of a personal, quiet connection in which it's really just us and God, instead of it just being everyone else and then some of us and God, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
I also look at how hard, at least for me, right, from what I know, how hard our pastors work, you know, and in a sense, I'm glad and I'm grateful that they have this time of rest as well.
absolutely.
Because, you know, I don't think oftentimes that we think about how much they do, how much they sacrifice, how much time they truly put into this.
Absolutely.
You know, and so in this time they get to be together as a unit, as a family, and really just spend that, you know, quality time together, and maybe reflect or do things that they wanted to do that, you know, wouldn't be possible with still a functioning church and serving the community in a sense of being there in person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a well, I do want to get back to the faith over fear thing and come back to that in a moment. But really hammer in on the idea that staying home and viewing service over the internet is not a matter of fear.
Oh,
it
no.
really isn't. Deciding to stay in your home is not a matter of fear. What we talked about a couple weeks ago, when you were talking, Valerie, you taught about anxiety and fear. Your lesson, I believe, is one of our first episodes. Was that one of the topics? Was your emotions essentially are they send you towards what you need. Essentially, you feel hunger, so you know you need to eat. You feel fear, you know you need to get away from whatever the thing is. And I want to really demystify the idea that people staying at home, people choosing to stay at home, even though their churches are meeting in person. The people who are making decisions for themselves. It's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of safety.
Yeah.
I am reminded of, and especially as we're coming out of the Easter season, the original Passover account, which to me was the original stay-at-home order.
Right.
And it was, again, even the plagues, you know, that befallen the Egyptians right before the great deliverance. I think that there's just so many parallels. They had to shelter in place. They had to stay at home order because that is where they were safe. Because outside of the doors, the death angel was tearing stuff up. And the only way to remain safe was to stay at home. That was your place of safety. And that is still, I would say that that's still relevant today. I don't think that it's a matter of, and I think that even as Christians, I think that it's really important to have a respectful posture, whether you choose to, and that's a challenge for me, whether you choose to stay at home or whether you choose to venture out.
Right.
Be respectful of the person's right to choose.
Right.
And just hitting on the fact of faith over trust. Faith over fear. When I first moved here, there was a lot of downtime. And I struggle with that. I'm like, well, I'm used to being on the go. And it was during that time that God really showed me that to rest actually is to be that's a very faith-filled activity, because that means that I'm going to cease in my labor, in my efforts to allow God to do what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
And to just sit still and just let God be God.
And know that I am God.
And not put your hand on the plow and trying to help him, write your story, but just to sit still. That is not an easy thing. And it takes a lot of trust and confidence in God to say, you know what, I'm just going to back up and I'm just going to let you do what you do.
Let you do it. That's it.
Yeah. I think it's this has been a really good conversation that we've had, and just to stand still and know that he is God. And the scripture, I believe it says something along the lines of, after you've done all that you can do to stand, just stand. And another scripture, in my weakness is his strength made perfect. We just have scripture after scripture that allow us to know that our human busyness does not affect the bottom line of eternity.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, our human busyness could affect the time we have on this earth.
Right.
That's
because
right.
I got stuff to do, so I'm staying at home.
Yeah, you could get.
I got it done with me.
I'm not ready to get up out of here. I'm just not ready.
I love you, Jesus.
Right.
I'm not ready to see you just yet.
I'm not ready to be on the list quite yet. So I just think it's really, and I don't at all want to make this light for all those who have lost someone, all those who are going through this, who have come to the other side of this. I have an aunt who is battling it right now. I have a friend who is battling this right now, who are in the grips of this. So I don't at all want to make light of this situation. We really want to say, just as a whole, with those who are meeting in person, be careful.
Yes, just be safe.
Your 6 feet of distance. If you choose to worship the Lord in the building, wear a mask, wear your gloves. Be safe, everyone. Even if your church is streaming from church, the people who have to go to the church, the worship singers, those who have to be in the building, please.
Right.
We don't want your number to come up because you went out to serve the Lord. This is not martyrdom. This is not modern day martyrdom. It is not.
So just on that note, and the thing is, you could be okay. The person who you could be okay, but then take it to someone who is vulnerable.
Right.
So to me, we're going back to the idea of community and just being aware that you could be okay, but are you okay with knowing that a choice that you've made, right? You made the choice to go out, but now someone else is dealing with the consequences of the choice that you made.
Yeah.
And in reality, as well, as I look at it, we have already lost a significant amount of believers
over 50,000
to COVID-19. Like people who actually served the Lord, went to church every Sunday, prayed, believed, had
worship,
church people,
led worship.
I mean,
bishops, pastors, prophets,
all types of people have been lost to this. And I think it goes, and I always say this, and this is strictly my opinion, right? Just because God can do it doesn't mean he will.
Right.
And I think I always think about it when I'm thinking about situations like this, right? So I can step out, and even if I get COVID and I get sick, that doesn't mean that God is going to heal me, right? He is our healer, yes, don't get me wrong, and he heals multitudes.
He's able to do it.
But that doesn't mean that it will be done. And I think that in a sense we have to walk along with that in mind, and follow his will, follow the direction, follow the wisdom that he provides us.
The wisdom.
So if we're not following that, then, you
Yeah.
know, it could lead to consequences that maybe we're not ready for.
Intending.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot of well-intending people who are
Absolutely.
For
still
sure.
meeting.
For sure.
And I think the intentions are good on both sides, whether you're
Yes.
meeting in person or you're meeting virtually.
Yeah. No one's doing
The
this
intention-
facetiously.
No.
Right. However, our decisions have consequences. I often tell the children that I work with, the power to make a choice is yours. But after you made the choice, the decisions and what happens afterward, the consequences is out your hands.
It's out of your hands. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just,
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not an easy topic. It's not an easy choice. However,
yeah, we take sympathy. We are sympathizing with those who have to make these decisions. Neither of us are in the position to make a decision for a church or company, but in our individual families, in our individual lives, we have to make that decision every day to be safe and to choose life, essentially, to choose life and to reimagine what choosing life means. Really, we're going to close on this thought, truly, because in probably about 2 months ago, choosing life would have meant going out and enjoying life to the fullest and doing this and really maximizing my day. And so choosing life may have meant something else 2 months ago. But today, choosing life is to stay at home. Choosing life is to limit social contact with others who aren't in your home. Choosing life right now means to wear a mask. It looks like you're choosing to look like you've coming from a bomb shelter, you know, but choosing life really does move, and it has a different connotation in each context that you're in. So I really just mull over this thought, everyone. You don't have to land on one answer. Be sure to, continue to comment in the comment section down below. Let us know what you're thinking about. We'd love to exchange comments with you a little later on, or down in the comments. We'll be commenting after we get off here, to, kind of see where you guys are coming from with this, because we don't have all the answers. We know that. We're clear about that. All we know is with our experience with the raising, how we were raised, with the traditions that we come from, what seems appropriate or what seems right in our eyes, or how it feels to love people, is to choose, them over the decision to make ourselves more comfortable and be in community with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we want to thank you again for tuning into this episode of Empowering Your Thoughts.
Yes.
It's been a great one. Next week, we will be hearing from Valerie.
Yes.
You want to tell us about what you got coming up next week?
Well, if your light bill has gone up and your food is constantly disappearing, if you are dealing with becoming an at-home teacher all of a sudden, I'm talking about you, parents. Next week, we're going to cover parenting during these interesting times.
All right. Can't wait.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun week. So come back and come back with us next week. We'll be talking, Valerie will be talking about parenting during COVID-19. Yes. Fun stuff. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And once again, be empowered to think well.